Hey y'all, Michelle Johnson with Have Color Will Travel, and welcome back to my studio. Today I want to talk to you about an idea that I really think anyone in almost any age, so long as you're able to walk and you don't put things you shouldn't eat in your mouth, can do. Recently, I took my husband on a printmaking safari. The world has been really stressful. Our jobs have been very stressful. Our personal lives have been very stressful. And my husband and I needed a bit of a vacation. But currently, we don't have time for things like vacation. There's too much going on, not enough spare time to do any traveling or to really get away from it all. So I asked for him to take a little time away from work in the morning, and I took a little time away from work in my morning to have a creative adventure. It was a surprise for him, but for me, the surprise was doing this with him. We went on a printmaking safari. Now, there are a lot of videos out there about how to print in the wild and what that means, and I'm going to link them down in the description. Essentially, you take something very simple and childlike, modeling clay. You can also take kneadable erasers. That's a really hard word to say. Kneadable erasers, the kind that you use for art. I chose modeling clay. This was much cheaper of an alternative, and it worked really, really well than erasers. This video is not about how you print with modeling clay out in the wild, although it's going to show you how to do it. It's just not a step-by-step. It's also not a video about what we printed on, which were single sheet sketchbooks. Also, very simple to make. You might even be able to see how it's made by what I'm doing right now with the spare that I had that we didn't quite get to on a day of our printmaking adventure. So it's ready to go for our next one. And I will link those videos down below. This video, however, is to show you how simple it is to connect with those people that are the most important in your life, connect with your local area, and connect with the calm and the childlike center that is within all of us. We did this together, and I really think it's the together piece that made this very simple creative activity oh so meaningful. All the supplies that I use in this video, in case you're curious, will be linked below. That is always the case. So without any further ado, let me show you or take you on our printmaking adventure, what Steve called printmaking in the wild, and then because of his hat, I started calling in my head a printmaking safari. It is as simple as opening up the clay, making it into a ball, and finding surfaces to press images on. The stamp pads we use were just regular craft stamp pads that I had had for years. I really enjoyed the black, but Steve was using my colored liquid chalk pads. Finding things everywhere that we had never seen before in our community was just so interesting. Barks of trees made for the coolest experiments within our sketchbooks. Tree stumps were our desks, and our hands were gloriously dirty.
Oh shoot, I don't remember what that is.
That's okay.
Okay, that's a something. I think it's a bark. I think it's an oak tree bark. Some things off a historic
Wait,
scene.
it's a November pickle and a Seguin pecan, yeah?
This is from I think a sewer drain. It's supposed to be an E. The
Pride of
Barbados.
Barbados.
Some have the leaves and some have not because they stuck. This is from some masonry.
Down by the creek.
By the creek. And
You've worked in your big book more than I did.
this is the top of a rotting stump.
I say that looks like a foot bone too.
Yeah, it does kind of get creepy.
Blue Texas.
There's Blue Texas. There's our future. I don't remember what that is.
I don't think I was
Oh,
thinking.
this is the pieces of the sugarberry tree.
Oh, yeah.
Multiple pressings. That is the leaf of oak, I think. Here's where I was trying to figure out what I was doing.
Always good.
This is rock face, and this is
Wasn't that like a thing that covers
some
like
kind
the
of
green
metal,
kind of things?
some kind of metal cover. Impressions of that. So that's what I
Oh,
have.
you really filled up that. I think this is my first page. This was rocks, if I remember right, and was way cooler than I expected. This was a tree circle. that I slowly built out. A leaf on a not dead stump, but a cut stump, so I have no idea what it was. That was a little Pride of Barbados. I was figuring out how letters work in reverse, which is why I've never really printed with words, because I'm not there yet. And these were from some of our squirrels around town. This was a sign. That was a historical sign. This was, what did you call that tree?
Sugarberry?
Sugarberry bark, which made me feel like I was creating leaves, and I really want to come back in with some color. I don't know what. And then this, which to me looks like a dragon spine. This was a crack in the bark of a tree that I just printed over and over again. So I finished a whole book today on Walnut Creek. So what did you think of our art play date?
I thought it was pretty cool. The sort of plasticine or whatever has a stickiness that never goes away. So if
It was a little dry though. It wasn't that bad.
Hand issues, you know, you may be, you could probably do it with gloves.
How did it feel after you did some sanitizer? Did it take away that texture?
It took away I can still, now it's not sticky, but I can feel like a haze, you know,
okay.
like it's on
So
there.
we're ready for soap and water.
Yeah, I gotta get some soap and water. But no, it was fun. I gave you you know, it's just like an hour and a half, and we filled up some sketchbooks that Michelle made. Sometimes I would just like want to do a leaf, right, or want to do a word that I got off a historic sign, and other times I would take a texture and just put it all over the page, you know, especially like tree bark or stumps or stuff like that. And so I don't know what I'll do with those pages, but it's an interesting start to something. It's a nice little abstract pattern. Lots of different ways you can do it, which was kind of neat. So.
And how did it feel to spend the day away from like the grown-up world? I don't want to call it the grown-up world, but like the world.
Well, I mean, this is a pretty grown-up way to do stuff. You got like pads and you're like, I mean, you're using all these kid toys, right? But you're using it in these very specific ways. So, but it's nice. It's good too, because we didn't go anywhere. It's like in around town looking at things that are a place that we've been to before, but you look at it different because you're like, okay, what can I get impressions of? And so it's you know, kind of opens up a space in a different way.
Yeah, I never noticed that there were any words on certain signs before today.
Right, and you're looking for specific words. I was like, I found my birthday month. I'm like, okay, I gotta get that one, you know? So just stuff like that.
Awesome.
Okay, so we did our 90 minutes of printmaking in the wild. How do you feel?
Printmaking in the wild. Oh, that may be how I phrase this experience. Not art play date, but printmaking in the wild. How do I feel? I am terribly excited. That was not just more fun than I thought, but it also was more successful than I was anticipating. I really thought there was going to be like the smoosh factor, especially since we're warmer than the places where I've seen people doing this. It's at least 80 right now. And our hands are warm. So I'm curious to try this once we have a cold front in like 4 months. I'm also surprised because you were talking about texture. I hated modeling clay as a kid. Like I did not want to touch it, the gross factor. And I found it to be less of a thing now that I'm a grown-up, which was a real surprise to me. I was using the clay in spite of that feeling because that was the cheapest way to do it. It seemed like the most colorful, fun way as well. But I'm really surprised at how I'm not bothered by my hands. I can see they're dirty, but they don't feel... I just remember as a kid, I'm like, it looks fun. I don't want to touch it. So
speaking of things that bother you in texture, your very first print that you made with fresh clay was on this old sort of like concrete rock thing, and you picked up all this debris right away. And when you first picked it up, you had this like kind of look to it.
Well, yeah, because it's like, I don't know, it's like dropping. Okay, this is why. I thank you for asking me that question. If you've accidentally, and maybe this only happens to me, you're blowing a bubble with a really big wad of bubble gum, but you blow too hard and the gum flies out of your mouth onto the ground. So that's what that reminded me of. Is like, well, duh, you're not going to put the gum back in your mouth, but all the little bits of texture, not only have you lost your bubble gum, but that's what that was making me feel like. But the debris in the clay didn't really inhibit the print at all.
I feel like 1% of people can identify with that story.
And those are my people.
If you're the bubblegum people. So you filled up a whole book almost with monochrome, sort of a black stamp pad, and so you enjoyed it. So tell me, did you like it all?
Pardon?
Did you like doing all of it?
I did. Although I'm feeling like really excited to come back into the studio with all my color making things. Like I know you were working with the chalk pads, the color chalk pads. I didn't feel like I wanted to steal your pads. I was like, sometimes I have art envy. I didn't feel that way. I was really enjoying creating with stark black and white, and I think I want to come back. I worked on a watercolor paper book, and that ink that I had was, once it's dry, it's waterproof. So I don't know what I'm going to do. If it's going to be like Posca pens, watercolor, colored pencils, markers. There are no limits.
Two other things, I don't know if you were worried about them, but you at least said them before we left, which was that you had made books with different kinds of paper and you were wondering how the different papers would work, and also kind of a wonder about how it was going to be on the stamp pad. So how'd you feel about the supplies?
I was surprised because you used the one I made of, I have to go back and look at my pad, but I think it's at least 65-pound drawing paper, and it was pretty thick. I made it on 140-pound, very inexpensive Grumbacher watercolor paper I got for just to try. Like, it's cheap. I always try things. I wouldn't paint on it, but for this it was really awesome, and I thought it worked great. And then you used the sketchbook from my friend Stephanie that she made, and that's made of all kinds of paper. I think it's made of mixed media paper, watercolor paper, and drawing paper, and it all worked. I mean, I imagine it would work really, really well even on just simple printer paper, but the ink that we were using, it would have soaked right through. I know that for a fact because I use that as my like blotting paper, and it soaks right through. So you would be able to still do it, but only one side of your paper would have been printable. Or you could print, I don't know, you could do whatever you want. You could, like, the soaky part could be something interesting too. So
okay.
Yeah.
So all right, so overall a good thing?
I would say A++++++. That was way more fun. It was super fun to plan it for you as well, and to hide colorful clay in my studio closet. And yesterday making the sketchbooks was really fun. I'm glad that I made it a surprise instead. I think that's what made it really special too, to wake up this morning and show you what we we're gonna do. So
it's been almost a month since Stephen and I went on our printmaking safari. And I've had this little book sitting on one of the shelves in my studio that I see right when I'm walking into my space. And it reminds me of that feeling that I had inside. The childlike feeling, the curiosity, the excitement, the calm, the openness to the world and to my surroundings. It's been a really good reminder and a nice way for me to start my day's work. I know it doesn't have color yet, and that's what I said I wanted to do with it. I haven't given myself the opportunity, but now that I've made this video, I feel like it's time. I'll be able to come and sit down and just play with these images that I made in my world. In addition to it though, I don't know if we can see this, maybe I can zoom in or do something like this. I added a date to the top. I've recently brought home a date stamp, and it is the coolest thing. So now I will forever remember that I did this with Steve on October 17th, 2025. Thank you for joining me on this printmaking safari. Thank you for watching this video. If you found something in it that delighted you or gave you an idea, an inspiration, or something that you think someone else might like, do please like, share, and subscribe to my channel. And if you have a question about what I showed you in today's video or about the materials that I used, please drop them in the comments. I answer all my comments. It's not AI, it's not a team. The team is me. Thanks for watching, and I hope you have a joyful, creative, and colorful day.